And since getting out and really working on my healing journey, something I had to look at was, what was my part? Don't leave yet. The abuse and the trauma that I endured was not my fault. I didn't deserve it. I couldn't control it. I couldn't stop it. And I sure as heck did not cause it. But for me, I had to start looking at, but how did I get there in the first place? So just speaking about my most recent abuser, when we met, there's the love bombing. I think we all get it. And for me, I was like this dry sponge. And so all of the love bombing came, and I'm just like soaking it up. I'm just feeling it. Like, I feel like I'm on top of the world, and oh my goodness, this person loves me. But I fell for it. Immediately proclaimed his love for me, immediately proclaimed that he wanted to marry me, like right off the bat. And again, this is going to be hard for some people to hear, but bear with me. This is me talking about my story and my experience. Where I was at back then, and that was in 2004, I was so desperate for love, affection, attention, desire, want. I just wanted to be wanted. I just wanted to be chosen. I just wanted to be loved. I just wanted to not be alone. And so many of those feelings of mine stemmed from the lack that I suffered from when I was a child. That's when my abuse started. My first abuser was my mother. I was never good enough for her. I was always less than. I always did everything wrong. I would never amount to anything. I was never hugged. I was never told I love you. I constantly, with my mother, tried everything I could. I would get all my chores done. I would, within the capability that I had as a little person, I would get little gifts if I could. I would do everything I could just to get her love. I just wanted to be loved. And so being raised with that lack, being raised with those deficits, when I met the abuser, I fell for that love bombing. Woo, everything I've been waiting for, Prince Charming, dream come true. And again, I'm not trying to victim blame myself, and I'm not trying to victim shame myself, nor am I trying to do that to anyone who's listening. But I went into that relationship lacking. So when the red flags started coming, knowing that I wasn't enough, so this is as good as it gets. I mean, this is all I deserve, right? That's what I had been told. I tolerated it. I made excuses. I overlooked it. I forgave for unforgivable things. And as the years rolled on, the abuse got worse. It always got worse. It always gets worse, right? But because I knew that I was less than, because I knew that I wasn't good enough to deserve all of the amazing things in this world, I continued to settle. I continued to tell myself, this is as good as it gets, so I might as well just get used to it. I might as well just accept it. Every relationship has ups and downs. All the excuses that I made, every relationship has ups and downs. All couples argue. All couples get mad. All couples have issues. I made so many excuses. When the abuser told me that I was a horrible wife, I believed it. When the abuser told me that I was a horrible mother, I believed it. I was a horrible child to my parents. I had made a decision many years ago to cease all communication with my parental figures. For the obvious abuse, there's been more that I've had to process, in years since on the unobvious. But I made a decision to not have a relationship with my parental figures because of what they had put me through when I was a child. The abuser told me, I can see why they don't want to talk to you. I'm the one who chose not to talk to them, but I took what the abuser said to heart. I'm such a terrible daughter. I'm such a terrible sister. I believed all of it. I fell for everything. I fell for every lie. I fell for every empty apology. I fell for every manipulation. I felt for every high. Oh, we're on a good high right now. Everything's good and golden and beautiful and we're so much in love. And I stayed through every low. For 15 years I did this. And what I have had to continue to work through is that I played a part in that relationship. Again, I didn't cause the abuse. I couldn't control the abuse. I couldn't stop the abuse. And I didn't deserve the abuse. But this is the hard part. I had to identify my position within that situation. And my part in that relationship was that I had zero self-esteem. My part in that relationship is that I took trauma and wounds into that relationship from childhood, unhealed trauma into that relationship, giving myself grace. I didn't understand. I didn't understand trauma at that time. I didn't understand, the generational toxic curse that goes on. I didn't understand the trauma-informed way. I didn't understand healing. I didn't even understand abuse. So giving myself grace, being gentle with myself. I don't beat myself up for that, but I have to heal what's in me so that I don't repeat that. See, oftentimes that's the part that we don't talk about. Oftentimes that's the part that we forget about. I played a part in that relationship. My part was that I was broken from way back before. And because I was broken, I accepted less than I deserved. I tolerated more than I should have. I gave a pass for every time I was terrorized, beaten, bruised, wounded, because my self-worth and my value was so far in the gutter that I didn't think I could do any better. And at least somebody loves me. At least somebody wants me. I mean, sometimes he did, thinking that that's all that I deserved. It's taken me getting out and walking my healing journey every single day to identify those wounds that I have carried for this many years. Again, I'm not shaming myself, nor am I blaming myself. I did the best that I could at that time. But part of my healing is taking ownership and responsibility to fix the wounds that I carried throughout my lifetime up until that point. I have to heal those. The biggest flex that I have found in my healing, the biggest glow up that I have found in this healing is learning to love myself. I could do a whole talk on that. I come on here. I am real, raw, open, and honest. I share my ups, my downs, my strengths, my weaknesses. I share my own toxic traits. I have said it before. I hated myself. I hated myself all of my life. I believed every negative thing that anyone ever told me about me, and I chose my relationships accordingly. Not victim blaming, not victim shaming, but that was my part. Now, I'm the first one to say, if I could go back and change anything in my past, would I? My answer is absolutely not. Because were it not everything that I have gone through, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I like where I'm at today. I love who I am today. I don't always have that every single day. I still have self-deprecating thoughts. I still struggle from time to time with my self-esteem. I still feel insecure. I still have my moments where I don't like what I see in the mirror. I still have my moments when I step on my scale and it's like, ah! But who I am today is because of the lessons that I've learned. You know, in this last relationship, 15 years in that abusive relationship, had I not gone through that relationship, I don't know where I would have been. I don't know. I honestly think it would have been with one toxic relationship after another. Had I not gone through what I went through in this last relationship and hit the bottom I'd probably be repeating the same patterns over and over and over and over and over and over again. I had to hit bottom in that relationship. Being able to say, I used to hate myself, is acknowledgement and healing. Being able to say, I lack self-esteem, I lack value, I lack self-worth. Being able to open up and say these things is the very first step to healing. The first step is acknowledging that there's a problem. My problems were zero self-esteem, zero self-worth, accepting less than I deserved, and thinking that I couldn't do any better. Thinking that I had to accept a toxic relationship so that I wouldn't be alone. My first step was acknowledging that I had a fear of abandonment. Why? My first step was saying I have wounds from the past, and those wounds carried into the relationships that I had. Being open and honest about where we are is healing. I went through my stage when I first got out. All men are bad and I'll never be in another relationship again. I went through that stage. I get it. That's unhealed wounds. Projecting your trauma, your hurt onto others is unhealed wounds. Doing this, but it was them, 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 forgets to show us that there's the four fingers pointing back at us. So while it's hard to hear, I get it. When we're healing, we have to figure out what our part is. I give myself grace and kindness and compassion because I did the best that I could at that time. I give myself grace and kindness and compassion because I didn't know any better at that time. I give myself grace and kindness and compassion because I hated myself at that time. But once we start to know better, then we can do better. Healing, all aspects of it, all facets of it, every single point within our healing is lifelong. And so again, I have those days where I don't like what I see in the mirror. I have those days where I feel like maybe I'm not enough. I have those days where I compare myself to others and let that comparison bring me down. I have those days when I feel like I'm not doing enough. I have those days when I'm mad at myself because I'm not where I think I should be in my healing. Every day that goes by, I am learning more and more and becoming aware more and more of the part that I played in my abuse story. But because I am learning these things and I'm working on these things, you can be darn sure that I'm not going to repeat those behaviors. Because a red flag now to me, it's a bye-bye. Because toxicity now to me is bye-bye. Because if you don't like me, I don't need you in my life. Because my value and my worth is non-negotiable. You can spew hate at me. You can spew negativity at me. You can try to treat me poorly. But I keep on rolling. The opinions of others no longer dictate who I am and the choices that I make. The toxic thoughts that go on in my head, the self-deprecating and self-doubt that goes on in my head, I challenge it. As I said, this is hard for some to hear, but take a look when you're ready at the pieces within you that you need to heal. People ask me all the time, what is wrong with me? Because I keep getting into the same relationship after the same relationship after the same relationship. I was the common denominator. My wounds, my trauma, my lack of self-esteem, my lack of self-worth, my accepting less than I thought I deserved, that was the common denominator. We have to fix us. It's not just about healing from them. Healing involves taking a long, hard look at ourselves, conducting a personal inventory, and being honest with ourselves. I got a long way to go. There is no finish line. There is no end point in healing. But every single day, I am better than I was the day before. Take a look at your part. Take a look at your wounds. Take a look at what made you susceptible and work on that. When you're ready, take the focus off them. They don't deserve it. Put the focus on you because you're the one who is worth it. You'll go be unbreakable.